Stop right where you are." She took a nervous step back. The man wouldn't stop. How could he stop? She already had her hand on his wrist. Everything went silent for her. "Hannah, you have two options. Either surrender to me or to yourself." Her friend would go to jail, and the famous business tycoon was Bradley Durant. Besides, Hannah had posted a very proper photo on social media, and she was his cousin. Hannah looked at him. He was crying and watching her. Firefighters were standing nearby. If she refused, who knew what she'd have to endure to protect a respectable man? She had no parents. There was no one else in the world for her. Samuel only watched with tears in his eyes. "I was making coleslaw and had spread myself thin. Now I had to gather myself because I'm with you. I'm ready to go." She decided in an instant. She was about to step outside in 2 minutes, stiff as a doll. Nadia went out. "Hannah, how can you leave like this?" "He's a very dangerous man. He'll do something to you," Sophie said nervously, while inside she didn't really want to believe that Hannah might go with Bradley. She was desperate to hear it. "Sophie, if I don't go, this man will expose my uncle and aunts to the whole neighborhood. He will destroy not only me, but all of them." "Let him do what he wants, but you're not going with him." She tried every trick to stop Hannah. She tried her best, but Hannah knew the man was extremely dangerous, and he had already done enough to her. Now it was her turn. If she backed down, he would ruin them all. The whole household would be destroyed, and those who backed him would support him. Today, he saw them like that. She couldn't risk that. She gathered her essentials and quietly headed for the door. Mr. Sullivan and Sophie watched as she left. He didn't miss anything because he'd planned to come and take Hannah away. Sophie rushed into the room angrily, while Hannah was being held back by the guards. As soon as she stepped outside, she was put into a car and taken away. He didn't know that she was prepared for anything, because that's what she had decided to do. She gave Bradley Durant a chance. She thought getting involved with the businessman had been her biggest mistake, so she created a fake account and started a campaign against him. By posting photos and messages on social media, she woke a sleeping giant. What was this giant going to do now? Hannah was breathless just thinking about it. She fell forward so hard her nose started bleeding. She stood up to wipe it. The man in front of her grabbed her and pulled her to her feet by the arm. "You'll spit in my face?" he snarled. "I hope I don't have to break your face, Aaron Chase," he threatened, furious enough to throw her against the wall. He shoved her, and immediately Mr. Sullivan hid his daughter behind him. "Have some mercy, Chase. Do only as much harm as you can bear later. Shame on you." "You're shameless," Chase spat. "You borrowed money from me and never paid it back. I'm going to foreclose." He wouldn't let it go. "So should I come beg you now?" He spoke very rudely to Mr. Sullivan. "I told you to give me just 1 week. I'll get all the money." He held his daughter behind him. Blood still ran from her nose and mouth. "I'm giving you 1 more week, but remember, if the money's not arranged within a week, either you will vacate the house or I will take your daughter as collateral. Remember this," Aaron Chase threatened. He left with his men jeering, while Mr. Sullivan looked at his very brave daughter. "Don't worry, son. As long as I'm alive, nobody will touch my daughter. I'm old, my bones ache, but I'll protect you until my last breath." He held back tears and hugged her. He was a public school teacher, honest and upright his whole life. That's why, with his testimony, he could barely afford a roof over their heads. His wife had cancer, and he paid for her treatment. He'd borrowed money from Aaron Chase in small amounts that would have totaled $20,000 yesterday, but Chase had written in his records $50,000. Where would a poor man like him get such a large sum? He was harassed daily and forced to mortgage the house papers to Chase, who now wanted to sell them and who also had an eye on Hannah. Mr. Sullivan even donated what little he had to the family, but he hadn't been able to help his younger daughter. That had driven him toward depression. "Sophie, what happened? Why are you crying?" Sophie was finishing her online class and closing her laptop. Now proudly she woke up. Seeing Sophie crying, Hannah went in and was devastated. "Honey, I met that man. He ruined me. He left me in ruins." "Who are you talking about? Who ruined you?" Hannah was really upset. "That man kept saying he loved me, and now he denies it. What should I do? What do I do with this broken heart? He's marrying someone else. He's leaving me." Sophie cried, trying to gain sympathy. "Tell me his name. I'll find him. I'll make him feel something he'll never forget." Sophie, emotional, was furious. "It's him. You can't do anything. He's a big businessman, and if anything is said against him, who knows what he'll do to us? Don't worry about him. Just tell me his name. After that, whatever happens, leave it to me. I'll confront him. You won't have to." "He doesn't deserve to be loved. I thought he truly loved me."
In reality, he had affairs with countless women, and perhaps many men had even shared his bed. "I had to use it too. Who are you? Who is he? Who are you talking about?" Hannah asked, rubbing her forehead. "Bradley Durant. Yes, Hannah, that's Bradley Durant of Bristol Beverage Group. But we can't reach him or expose him." For the first time, that name, Bradley Durant, came out of Sophie's mouth. Hannah had heard it before, but she'd mostly been busy with her studies. She didn't really know what was happening in the outside world, or how Sophie had been trapped. She didn't even realize she was crying nonstop. But that woman asked Sophie for his contact number to burn the bet, which Sophie didn't have. "You're saying she asked you for the number? You claimed he loved you and you don't even have his contact info?" "I had it once, Hannah, but it's disconnected now." "And what would you do with the number?" "I want that man punished severely." "How will you support me?" Hannah asked. "You created this name from Islam to that. You will reach there. Stay calm. He'll be punished, not by us, but by the world." That night, Hannah gathered all the information she could about Bradley's downfall from the internet. She circulated it on social media every way she could. She followed his accounts, then created a fake profile and posted dozens of messages. She tore apart the Durant clan's image. She cast Bradley Durant as corrupt and second-rate. The man was a showpiece. She exposed his character until every corner of social media echoed with her posts and videos. The only voice in the videos was Hannah's. The pictures spoke of losses, but her voice carried everything that could end his career. It was enough to destroy it all. "What are you doing?" Sophie asked. "I'll tell him in the morning what I've done." It was almost 3 a.m. when Hannah completed her work. She lay down to sleep, but she didn't know that Bradley Durant himself was gathering information about her the same night. He had come to the hospital to visit a friend when he noticed someone. He stopped at his old school teacher. He recognized him. He'd seen him in the hospital. He had to go to him. He started greeting him. "Sir, how are you?" Shahir said politely, sitting with them. "Those who seek help from God through an angel." The old man startled at the sound. "It seems your sight has weakened." "I'm Shahir Jalani, your promising and mischievous student. My father, Hassan Durant, is your friend." He was happy Hannah remembered him. "I remember you well. How can I call him? How is he doing now?" Mr. Sullivan asked. "Thank God, but I don't feel right about you. Why so soon? Have you aged?" Shahir teased. "Son, circumstances can make a person old." "Let's go, Dad. We've got the number." Someone called. They both left. "This is my daughter, right here," Mr. Sullivan said, "and this is Shahir, the son of my old friend Hassan." He spoke cheerfully. Hannah just glanced at Shahir and looked away.
She had no desire for any new connection. She couldn't believe anyone. Everyone seemed selfish. "Dad, come on, it's getting late. Let's get the checkup done." The doctor began to falter as he held him. Shahir noticed the daughter's attitude. He immediately held the teacher steady. "It's okay. I'm a little worried about him. My father is very brave. Give him some support." "No need. Goodbye," came Hannah's harsh reply. Shahir stared at the girl. "Hannah, that's rude. He was helping." She walked forward, holding her father's hand. The doctor examined Mr. Sullivan, gave him some medicine, and ordered a dermatological test. Hannah became worried. Shahir took the slip from her hand. "Doctor, why these tests? What illness does he have? You didn't tell him." Dr. Altaf looked at Hannah. Hannah took the slip back from Shahir. "He's not one of our people to be told anything. I'll text you later. I'll get Dad tested and bring him back. Please start my father's treatment then." She spoke softly and turned to her father. She wanted him to tell her what was wrong. She didn't know why Shahir was so interested. The doctor's diagnosis was grim. Hannah stared at him with wide eyes, but her father's treatment was impossible at that hospital. "I've told him many times to go to a better hospital, get proper tests and start treatment, but the daughter wouldn't listen." The doctor went back on his word, and Shahir felt truly sorry. He thought of helping them with the treatment, but Mr. Sullivan probably thought Shahir wanted something. For a moment, Shahir sat on the glass bench, listening to vows and pleas. But finally, his mother agreed. He married his daughter and agreed to receive treatment at a good hospital. Everything changed so quickly, in a flash. She bowed her head in front of her father's wishes, but she didn't know how much this new relationship would make her cry. "Altamash, I need to find out whose account this is. Find out immediately. Give me the details within an hour." At that moment, Bradley Durant was on the phone with his private investigator, trying to trace the account responsible for the social media propaganda against him. "Sir, I've obtained all the information. The account is fake." "So who is running the fake account? You know that. Why can't you tell me? Where is this girl sitting and saying all this about me?" "Sir, this is a cybercrime."
"I'll give you 30 minutes. Just 30 minutes," he told him. "He asked me for half an hour and I gave it. I know once I find who's behind this account, I'll get my revenge. They won't stay alive." That very morning, he traced the fake account to Hannah. He brought the police. Now Hannah presented herself. He'd rescued his cousin like a friend. Sophie was his father's daughter. After the family feud, he'd sheltered her, and she was grateful, but one thing Sophie said had changed his mind. He was in deep trouble. Now he stood in the living room with that man. The room had white decor, white manner, and Hannah was in front, guarded by his men. I followed behind her. Hannah walked covered by the guards. Hannah felt like she was either facing a crime boss, a powerful politician, or a life convict. They walked a long path. The guards planted themselves outside, while Hannah continued to follow Bradley. "Oh, how much more?" she muttered, though Bradley's keen ears overheard her. He stopped, and Hannah froze, holding her breath. He turned and saw Hannah's eyes hidden behind sunglasses. She could barely see, and maybe he'd heard the tremor in her voice. He took off his own glasses and looked at her. His eyes were icy blue, the same old blue eyes she remembered. She took 2 slow steps toward him. At a distance of 2 steps, the blind man, no, the man who stared coldly, made her throat ache. "You're at the White Manor," she said with brittle confidence. "You can't scare me." Bradley raised an eyebrow. "In a few minutes you'll be locked in the basement here," he threatened. He was trying to frighten her, and this time she was truly scared. She clutched her glasses and pulled them on. Just then, Paige stripped her arm around his adoringly. Bradley told the man with the big nose to look away. When she saw that, she immediately pulled her hand back. It was all reaction and counter-reaction. "Sophie, you flirted with her. You nearly ruined a marriage. Who knows how many girls you brought into your bed? Stop your nonsense." Bradley's tone was icy and relentless. The girl covered her face and went quiet. "You disgraced my community last night, and I'll have to live with that shame for the rest of my life," he said. "She'll never be respected again. Maybe it's a habit, but you can't keep a decent girl like this."
She's a strange one, a house cat who becomes a lioness when she arrives here. You'll see what I can do soon." He led them into a large garden where his vicious guard dog, Tyson, stood on watch. Face to face with the dog, Hannah felt the blood drain from her. Her feet refused to move. "Leave Tyson to this girl," Bradley ordered with a small gesture. He told the guard to remove the leash from Tyson's neck. The dog stuck out its tongue, blood in its expression. Hannah steadied herself. Her heart slammed. Before the dog could reach her, Bradley swept her into his arms. She felt every layer of panic ignite. "Please, please, please save me," she thought, trembling. She'd been scared of shoes before, and now she clung tight like a frightened child. The dog closed in. Before the animal could touch Hannah, Bradley wrapped his arms around her. The dog stopped in its tracks when it saw its owner. Tyson dug his paws into the grass and halted. Bradley had calmed the situation in 2 minutes. He could have stopped her with a single command before Tyson arrived. But suddenly, everything blurred and Bradley couldn't make sense of it. Hannah felt herself sway in midair. When she looked up, the dog howled again, lunged toward Bradley, and fell into his arms. Her heart raced. She felt that soft, fragile presence in her arms. For a moment, Bradley seemed entranced. Then suddenly, he came back to himself and pulled away. She started crying uncontrollably. Even as she pulled back, she clung to Bradley's sleeve. He held her tightly. She leaned into his side and sobbed bitterly. Bradley signaled his guard to take Tyson away. As soon as the dog left, the girl stopped crying. She looked at Abe. His eyes were full of tears. His face was pale. He'd always been terrified of dogs. The man in front of him didn't know what to do. "Let go of my hand," he told Hannah, staring at her. "Next time." Moments later, she let go and wiped her cheeks. "My love, where were you?" She suddenly heard her uncle's voice behind her and turned. Richard arrived and stood right by her side. It had been a long time since he'd been seen. He was part of the White Manor crowd. "Who is this beautiful girl?" he asked, a flash of disapproval in his eyes when he looked at Hannah. She shot him a glare and turned away. "He's my guest. I'll join you later," she snapped, and walked off, pulling Hannah's wrist. Richard smiled deeply as he watched them leave. Hannah was taken to a small storeroom, and she gasped at what she saw. "No, please don't lock me up. You can punish me, hand me over to the police, hit me, even slap me. Just don't lock me away."
Beat me with a belt, slap me until my cheeks turn red, but don't lock me in here. I'll die."
She cried bitterly again, and Basil listened carefully. He had brought her here, but now he felt like he was the one being punished by her words. "You'll stay here. Do you understand?" he barked. "You should have thought about this before making a scene last night. I haven't even given you the punishment I have in mind. When I do, you'll feel like half your life is gone." He turned, stormed out, and slammed the door behind him. Honey clenched her teeth in anger. He had taken the dog away, but the fear lingered. She cursed the moment she had trusted Sonia and gotten pulled into this mess. Basil White was a favorite in the Hollywood social scene. He was often seen with his glamorous wife, Julia White, his close friend and business mogul, Bailey Johnson, and his ambitious cousin, Sean Johnson. The White family lived comfortably in their grand estate, the White Mansion. Julia's only brother, Rashid, visited occasionally, but he mostly kept to himself. Now, inside the mansion, Rashid confronted Basil. "Where's that girl?" Rashid demanded the moment Basil walked in. Julia overheard and stiffened. "What girl?" she asked quickly. Basil froze. Rashid pressed, "Don't lie. Who is she?" Just then, Honey entered with an attendant, her eyes swollen from crying. Rashid pointed directly at her. "Who is she, Basil?" Basil shut his eyes tightly, then looked toward his mother. "She's someone in need. I locked her in the storeroom." Rashid smirked, clearly enjoying Basil's discomfort, while Julia's eyes darkened with worry. Honey rushed toward Julia. "Auntie, please help me. He's cruel. He has this huge dog with terrifying eyes, giant teeth, and a tongue so long it scared me to death. He told me if I said one word against him, he'd set it on me." Her voice cracked as she spoke. Julia looked from Honey to Basil, her face growing stern. Honey continued desperately. "He even threatened me, said next time he'd let that dog attack me. Please, don't let him do this to me." Julia's gaze sharpened on her son. "What's the truth, Basil?" Basil stayed silent, trapped, while Sean, his younger brother, watched from the staircase. He whispered to Basil, trying to calm him, but Julia wasn't convinced. "You have been trapped by this girl," she said firmly, "and you've made the mistake of bringing her here." She pulled Honey to her side and led her away. In her room, Julia arranged food, water, and clean clothes for her. Honey seized the opportunity. She spun stories, mixing truth with lies. She told Julia how Basil had flirted with her, played with her emotions, and then turned his back when it came time to prove his love. Julia's expression hardened. "If he toyed with your feelings and abandoned you, he deserves punishment. Justice demands it." Her voice carried authority. "He must marry you." Honey almost choked on her water, coughing as it sprayed from her nose. "What? No, that's impossible. He's too rich, too proud. A poor girl like me could never be more than a distraction to him, not someone he'd marry." Julia shook her head. "Leave it to me. The wedding will take place today. Let's see how dare Basil refuse me." Honey's heart sank. "Oh no, this is worse than being locked up." She thought quickly. "If I don't escape now, they'll trap me forever. Running away is my only chance." Summoning her courage, she slipped out, determined to flee before Julia could force her into marriage with Basil White.
I woke up. As soon as I picked up my phone, a call came in. "Why are you calling? I've already said no. What's left to say?" On the other end, Sean Johnson's voice snapped back. "I told you I want to see you right now." "See me? Why should I?" Julia White's younger cousin, Sean, was furious. "You'll have to face me sooner or later," he threatened. "You don't scare me, Sean," Heather shot back. "Rich guys like you trick poor and middle-class girls, marry them in secret, and then refuse to acknowledge them in public. You ruin their lives while keeping your reputation spotless." Sean's temper boiled. "You should have thought about that before pushing for this marriage." Heather's voice cracked, holding back tears. "I didn't marry you at gunpoint. You begged me, out of desperation, not love. My father was blind enough to think you were a diamond, but you're nothing but a stone." Sean sneered. "At least your father believed I was something. Don't call me again. If you don't want this marriage, end it. Free yourself and free me." "Fine," Heather said firmly. "I'll come myself and settle this." Sean ended the call, heading straight for her house, his anger rising. Meanwhile, Heather had slipped out of the White Mansion, desperate to escape. She didn't know where she was going, only that she couldn't stay. The evening was dim, the backyard lit only by lanterns and the pool lights. Her steps quickened as she passed the pool. From a bathroom window above, Basil caught sight of her. He clenched his jaw. Where's she going? What's she planning? Before he could act, Heather let out a terrified scream. She slipped, her ankle twisting, and she fell straight into the pool. She couldn't swim. The water wasn't very deep, but panic overtook her, and she flailed helplessly. This is it. This is the end. Suddenly, heavy footsteps rushed across the patio. Basil dove in and pulled her out, lifting her into his arms. Heather coughed and gasped for air, clutching his shoulder. Their eyes locked. Just for a moment, the world froze. Basil carried her out, his voice sharp with anger. "Are you crazy? What were you thinking?" "Please, let me go home," Heather pleaded, still trembling. "At first, that was the plan. One night here, then you'd leave. But you went behind my back, talking to my mother. You'll pay for that mistake." "I told her the truth. I swear, I told her everything." "What truth? Whose story are you repeating? Majid's?" "She's lying, using you against me. You've already dragged me through hell. Now it's her turn." Heather wrapped her arms around her, teeth shattering. Basil's jaw tightened as he took in her fragile state. He pulled her up by the arm and guided her toward the house. "You'll get dry clothes from the maid, and listen to me. If you cause trouble again, I'll lock you in the basement. Tomorrow morning, you're gone. My mother must not find out." "But why?" she whispered nervously. "Why won't she let us be together?" "Together? Did you forget the way this marriage came about? You think I'll stand by that?" Desperate to protect herself, she twisted her words, hoping to turn him against the forced marriage. But Basil's hand twitched. He wanted to slap her for lying again. "You don't deserve freedom. You'll rot in the basement until you learn your lesson." He turned to leave, but Heather stumbled after him. Her balance gave way, and once again she slipped, this time dragging Basil into the pool with her. Water splashed everywhere. Basil resurfaced, furious, but Heather clung to him, her arms wrapping tightly around his neck. Their faces were inches apart. She looked at his chest, at the tension in his jaw, and for a brief second she froze, overwhelmed by the closeness. She tried to pull back, but nearly fell again. Basil grabbed her waist, holding her steady. He set her on the edge of the pool before climbing out himself, water dripping from his hair and shirt. Without a word, he strode away, his fists clenched. Heather sat on the pool's edge, shaking. In just one day, this man had upended her entire life. He was a storm she hadn't seen coming, and now she was drowning in the chaos he brought.
She had just stepped outside when the doorbell suddenly rang. Her heart raced, eyes fixed on the front door. She glanced toward her father's closed bedroom. The bell rang again, harder this time. She already knew it had to be Sean, and his threats earlier told her exactly what kind of rage he was bringing. Still, she forced herself to breathe deep and opened the door. Sean stood there, his face hard with anger. The moment he saw her, he grabbed both her wrists and shoved her back inside, locking the door behind him. She stumbled against the wall. "You keep threatening me every day. Do you even know who you're dealing with? You think you can scare me, Sean Johnson?" Heather's voice shook but carried defiance. Sean's grip tightened. "Please, let go. You're hurting me," she begged, pain shooting through her hands. "Oh, now you feel pain. What about the pain you've caused me?" His voice was sharp, mocking. "If you didn't want this marriage, why did you go through with it? You think you were forced? My father pressured me. He used guilt, used me to protect you. He sacrificed me. No one in this world can force me, and if your father made you marry me, then I'll force you to stay married. You don't get a say." "I want a divorce," Heather blurted, her voice rising in desperation. Sean's eyes widened. "Say that word again and I'll kill you." His voice dropped to a chilling growl. Tears stung her eyes, but her voice was steady. "You trapped me in this marriage, Sean. You won't honor it, and you won't let me end it. That's not love. It's a prison. Better we both walk away than keep living in this lie." Sean shoved her arm one last time and stepped back, glaring. His eyes burned with anger, but underneath was something broken. He left her standing there, shaken, her world collapsing. To him, it was just a fight, but to Heather, every word mattered. She had given her body and soul only to realize he had never valued their bond. They had been married for 3 months, yet he had kept the marriage hidden, never acknowledging her. He hadn't looked back once to see her pain. He left her with her ailing father, who had just begun treatment at a private hospital, while Sean stayed far away, indifferent. Arham Carter, the troublemaker who once harassed her, had been sent to jail. Heather had prayed he'd stay there, but Sean, he only returned to threaten her, to silence her. And this time, too, he walked out, leaving Heather trembling, torn between fear and resolve. She now knew one thing clearly: this marriage had no meaning. By morning, Julia spoke with her husband and arranged for a minister to come. Aram resisted. He wanted to end Heather's story entirely, erase it in one night. But by evening, everything was arranged. Sean was present. Heather tried to speak the truth, but it was too late. The ceremony was forced, and she felt the chains tighten around her life. She fell silent,
numb. Nothing made sense anymore, except one certainty. There was no escape from this man's control. Love itself isn't a crime, but hiding it and refusing to honor it is. Don't give me any reason to doubt you again. When Julia left the room, Autumn turned to Heather, his eyes sharp, his jaw tense. Heather's chest tightened. She backed away toward the bed, trembling. Please, it's not my fault. I'm not enough for you. Your mother forced this marriage. If you want, you can still walk away. I mean nothing to you. Just let me go, she pleaded in a rush. Autumn's face darkened. His voice thundered. We don't believe in divorce here. He began unbuttoning his shirt, his muscular frame showing through. Heather froze, speechless. He caught her wrist and pulled her hard into his chest. She was just an ordinary girl, but something about her drew him in. He felt it right, claimed by marriage, bound by blood. He brushed her scarf aside, his breath heavy, his intentions unspoken. Heather's voice cracked in panic. What are you doing?
I was asking with a pounding heart. I was proving true what you'd told Mom. He placed his hand firmly on her neck, her face tilted upward, her lips, soft, trembling. Whenever he looked at her, he leaned in with overwhelming intensity. He had taken possession of her, and it left her shaken. His mouth pressed against hers. He poured all his anger into that kiss. Sam was now only inches behind, breathing heavily. Honey tried to form words, but in the next instant, he caught her lips again and pulled her down onto the bed beside him. When Nick's hands grew rough, she writhed in discomfort. Please, stop, I can't breathe, she pleaded in tears in her eyes. It's too late, he answered in a low, serious tone. Things have gone too far. He grabbed the remote and clicked the lights off. The darkness matched his frenzy. Even Basil himself hadn't realized how consumed he was becoming. Why did the intensity feel so addictive? The man who usually rushed through women had now come dangerously close to this one girl. But she wasn't ordinary. She was different. She was unguarded, vulnerable. The shadows seemed to swallow her as Honey cried out, "What are you doing?" "Quiet," he interrupted sharply. Her tears welled up again. That same massive bodybuilder-like man pressed closer. She felt suffocated, crushed. She thought, he's claiming me. The sound of a slap cracked through the room. Shajir touched his cheek in shock, remembering his father's proud face earlier that day. The sting of 5 fingers burned across him, a sharp mark left even on what should have been a day of celebration. He had left earlier in a storm of emotions, and when he returned, the girl who entered with him was trembling. I looked at Shajir, his heart felt like torn paper. "Aren't you ashamed?" I asked. He was furious at the insult, at the dishonor of the moment. "Hassan, what happened to you?" someone demanded. Shajir stood rigid. She stood beside him, too afraid to step down. The room fell silent as faces turned toward him. "Please give me a chance to explain," she whispered. "What's left to say?" someone shot back. "You married this girl. Instead of bringing her home, you left her, called it responsibility, and then vanished for 3 months. Tell me, where did this big heart suddenly come from?" The truth was out. The wrath of the patriarch's rule blazed through his eyes. She looked at him through tears. "Dad, this marriage happened by your hands. Her father was my school teacher. You did a kindness to him, and now you're using it against me. Don't store your good deeds in a bag with a hole in it, Shajir. What have you done?" Even the matriarch looked on with sadness. "Please listen," she begged. "Father, you're not hearing me. Believe me. He must pay the price. I told you Hir's father was hospitalized. Shajir, if you took responsibility, you should have honored it. If I hadn't seen Surmont in the hospital today, I never would have known the truth." Hassan Durrani revealed the entire story. The matriarch's body seemed to crumple. Surmont, her old friend, had seen Hir alone in the hospital. He had felt relieved that his son was treating Surmont in a good facility. But he was angry too, because his gentle manner, his affection, had caused her to fall for him completely. And she hadn't known. She had been introducing him to her husband, when all along, he was her husband's father. "I'm disappointed in you, Yazir. You're not a child, not even a teenager. I tried to explain this gently. Now use your wisdom. Hir will stay here, in this house, as your wife. I hope this time you don't give me reason to complain." He turned away, leaving wrinkles of grief across the patriarch's face.
In one moment, the elder son had brought home a bride he never claimed, and the wound was still raw. Now the younger son had also married, and the grief only deepened. When he entered the room, Heer stood up in alarm. He brushed away her tears. Still shaken, she knelt at his feet. "Shujir, I didn't tell them. I didn't know Uncle was your father. I swear I didn't know. I just kept moving toward him until it scared me. I could disappear through the wall talking about it. Please don't hit me." She covered her cheeks with both hands. He froze. He had never struck her. Why was she so scared? Was she hiding bruises? As he hesitated, Heer raised her eyelids in fear and looked at him. He stood there staring at her without blinking. "Put your hands down," his voice softened. Heer's body trembled. "Why did you think I'd hit you?" he asked. Her expression shifted. She stared back at him, stony-eyed. "Answer me," he pressed, his tone sharpening again. There was an echo in his voice, the sharpness of Arham Chowdhury's name. Fear clenched her chest. "It's his fault. It's because of him Dad arranged my marriage to you. But instead of protecting me, you abandoned me." "What about you? Did that man speak to you?" Shujir demanded.
He asked in a stern tone, arms folded. "He's a thug. He threatens people and somehow gets all the attention." She kept telling the story until finally she broke down in tears. She reached for my hand. I pulled away. He grabbed my wrist hard. He gripped it twice. There were tears in her eyes, and her gaze fixed on the details of the room like thorns. She looked at Sean. "You did this. Why didn't you tell me sooner?" she whispered. Sean bit his lip. "I wanted to tell you so many times," he admitted. "But you never let me. Every time the guys left, weeks passed, you never checked in. How could you? If I had the chance, I would have told you. I accepted it as fate. It was a terrible choice, but I had no other option. I swear I'll make him pay." Sean balled his fist in anger. She hit the wall and fell quiet. Sean was quick to anger. At moments like this, he simply shut down and said nothing. "You'll stay here and don't go out alone. Don't leave this house without my permission," he ordered. "You want to lock me up now?" she shot back, pushing at him. He stepped back, draw tight. "If I have to keep you inside to protect you, I will." She exhaled, despairing. "He can do anything, but he can't make me love him." Sophie had gathered courage and stormed into the White Mansion, wanting to take control, but now Heather was the one in charge of her fate. Fate, she told herself, had a strange sense of humor. Sophie blamed herself for letting her crush get tangled up in all this. She had hoped to use Heather's vulnerability to bring down Basil without naming him publicly, but their plan had backfired and Heather had ended up taking the fall. Sophie, who'd been treated with kindness, finally confessed the whole setup to Heather, and Heather, now married, decided she wanted to step back from revenge. "What are you doing here?" Basil asked sharply when he suddenly appeared at one of the mansion's entrances. "If I could, I'd ask for forgiveness. Whatever happened, it was my fault," Sophie said softly and started to walk away. "Why did you come?" he asked, stepping closer to Heather. Sophie paused and offered a quiet apology. The next morning, Basil entered Heather's room, his hand casually draped over his shoulder. Sophie hugged Heather. Taking a breath, Sophie pulled away. "Shouldn't you apologize too?" Basil teased, rubbing his nose against hers. Heather managed a small smile. "Apologize for what? I'm your wife now. Apologies don't cover that." She laughed weakly and returned his words back to him, then let out a small giggle. Basil pulled her into his arms. He held on. He rose above their earlier struggle and kissed her, intense, insistent, this time with a possessive urgency. Whenever he drew near her, their weird magnetism only grew. Both of them were sinking deeper into it. Meanwhile, Heather had brought her father to the hospital for treatment. She sat beside his bed and stepped briefly to the desk when Aaron Chase walked in. Heather startled to her feet. "What are you doing here?" she thought, seeing him in such a big hospital. His presence suddenly felt like a threat. He tried to charm her with a jokey line about staying long.
He boasted and prowled, sizing up who this man had entertained that night. He mocked her quietly, trying to throw her off. "Enough of your nonsense! I'll ruin your mood!" Heather snapped, stung and defensive. She edged toward the room, nearly at her father's bedside. Her father lay sleeping, slightly sedated. Heather's eyes brimmed with tears. She wanted Sean to step up and teach Aaron a lesson. "Your father could die at any moment," Aaron told her in a low, coaxing voice. "What will you do alone? Nobody knows your name here. They won't even look at you. Come with me. I'll make you happy. I'll give you everything." He reached out and tried to touch her cheek. She recoiled. "You're pathetic," he sneered. "Stay away from them. Stay away from anyone who's close to me, or I'll make you pay." Heather's dignity stung at his words. She was not someone to be bought. Aaron kept talking trash until Sean finally moved. He stepped forward and grabbed him by the collar. Then he landed a hard punch to Aaron's jaw. The room erupted. They kept trading blows until hospital staff and bystanders rushed in to pull them apart. Aaron wiped blood from his mouth and stalked out, defeated and humiliated. The bully couldn't handle Sean's fury. He left quietly, clutching whatever dignity he could salvage. Heather shrank back near her father's bed, crying and trembling, feeling small and cornered. She couldn't stop Sean or scold him. All she could do was stand there and try to keep things calm. "Come here," Sean called softly as she moved in. She approached, trembling with fear.
Hands reached out for her. Jason pulled her trembling form against his chest. She wept bitterly, her face buried in him. She kept crying quietly as she walked, and Jason let her cry, just for today. "Don't look for tears in these eyes later," he said softly, brushing her cheeks, as if making her stronger. His voice carried a weight. "Now you'll protect me, right?" he asked, with deep respect. Her heart was burning with worry. "I'm ready to give my life for my honor," she whispered. He kissed her eyelids tenderly. His words came in a gentle, loving tone, and he touched her forehead with care. A wave of relief ran through Tori's heart. She felt something new in Jason. He had always been harsh. She never expected him to love her or even show kindness. All she ever wanted was his protection, his shield for her honor. And tonight, it seemed all her silent wishes were answered. Somehow God had softened Jason's heart. Meanwhile, Mr. Smith was in the hospital. His condition was being evaluated, and doctors were preparing for chemotherapy. They were doing their best, holding on to hope. When Jason entered the room, he saw her kneeling in prayer. Her eyes were closed, tears streaming down her face. Something about her pulled him closer. She stood and noticed him at the door. "When did you get back?" she asked softly. Before he could answer, she shook her head. "Don't go. Please come sit with me." Jason sat on the bed beside her. "If you need to cry, then cry," he said, turning her face gently toward him. Her words, full of love, eased his heart. "I was so worried. But don't worry about Jason. God is merciful. He'll make everything right, you'll see." Her gaze lingered on him. "Do you need anything? Tell me. I'll bring it. Just don't shut me out." She leaned forward, resting her forehead against his. "I need you," she whispered. "Today, right now, completely." Her words struck the deepest chords of his heart. He bent closer, his voice trembling, touching every hidden string inside her. She shrank back slightly, overwhelmed by his intensity. He brushed his shirt aside and leaned toward her shoulder, his eyes full of emotion. Their breaths tangled, her consent silently reflected in her gaze. A faint smile spread across his lips. He kissed her gently, his touch slow but charged with longing. She trembled, caught between fear and love. "Jason," she whispered, breathing heavily, trying to steady herself. He brushed her hair back and whispered again. She looked into his eyes, realizing his devotion. This time, she did not retreat. And as the lights dimmed, their shadows merged,
two hearts finding shelter in each other.